Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Real Deal, where we come at you with the straight truth of what's going on in the world, what's gone on in the past, and how we can fix things and maybe change things for the better for everybody. Not just one group of people, not just two groups, but everybody. We all need to get along in this world, but it's not working and it's not happening. There is no unity, especially in a country called the United States of America. I see nothing but division and hatred on a daily basis. I laugh at some of the people I see out there, man. And I'm seeing all these people right now posting things on Facebook and Instagram, all this social media against the Muslims, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on with the Muslims and Islam in the United States of America. And I will say this, if you're going to post something, make it true, okay? Make it real. Just don't post something you saw somewhere else and say, hey, this is real, I see so much stuff and I don't even have to look it up. I know it's fake. I see people posting verses from their Qurans. Most people don't even know there's more than one book out there. They have a few. And like most religions around the world, most people have never read any Islamic teachings. They've never read Hindu. Most people, especially a lot of Christians, have never read their own Christian Bible. And when they do, it blows my freaking mind because it will be the New International Version or the New Revised International Version, which just came out a couple years ago. And I'm like, say what? And they change it to make it easier to read and easier to understand. Or most Christians go by the King James Version, which was written in the Middle Ages. King James directed this, and it was totally rewritten. The guy was a freaking tyrant. He wrote it to protect government and his people. And like I said, a majority of people have never read the Christian Bible. And if you were to read it as it was written, like the first chapter, well, they go in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but the very oldest one, and these are biblical scholars that say this, not just anybody. This is not just scientists. These are guys that have studied this and they honor this. It's like they are Christians. The book of Mark was written, it's the oldest. It was written about 70 in the Common Era. So that was about 40 years after the Christian Jesus lived. Most of the other books came out 30, 40 years after that. Paul wrote all his stuff about 120 to 150 years. They're not exactly sure. After that, now, this is a guy that never met Jesus, but he wrote all this good stuff about him. And you have these guys like Luke. Luke, they don't even think he was Jewish. They think he was a Greek, just following Jesus around. Why did the other apostles get books? Where's Judas's book? He did write one, but you're not going to get his stuff. But they pick and choose what they want to put in it. And then they go and they attack other religions and other faiths. And it's really phony. It's really sad. Now, here's something about the Christian Bible. They took the Old Testament, what they call the Old Testament, the Torah and the Tanakh of the Hebrew books, and they glued their book onto it. The Torah and the Tanakh are very historically accurate. It's about 2,400 pages of that. It's been passed down generation to generation. They don't change anything. They forbid it. Because you know why? Because 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, when Moses was writing stuff coming straight from what people call God, Hashem, the creator, Elohim, whatever you want to call him, El Shaddai, those are the names. You're not allowed to call him by his real name. That's forbidden. But in the book of Deuteronomy, verse 2 of chapter 4, it says, do not add to my word and do not take away from it. That's a forbidden thing. So you keep the word as it's written. But people don't care. We're in 2026, the 21st century. People don't care. Most of them don't even understand that, they don't even understand what they're reading. And they don't care. They go to church every week. I know a good Catholic girl that goes twice a year. Ooh, she's going straight to heaven. Yeah, I don't think so. Sheol's calling her name, people. But anyway, there's a lot of people like that out there. A lot of them, and they don't know what they're talking about, yet they go after every other religion because it's not theirs. I see the Latter-day Saints get attacked on a daily basis, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Latter-day Saints, their religion's only been around for, I don't know exactly, but less than 200 years. But they believe it, and they don't hurt anybody. They don't worship the devil or anything like that. I mean, they pretty much have latched onto the old book. They, out of all the major Christian-like religions, probably respect Judaism more than others. And they're good people. They're not hurting anybody. If you don't like their way, they're like, okay, cool. Have a great day. I love you. God bless you. Okay, cool. But there are people that will mock that religion. And then they go after Hindus, which have been around for longer than Christianity, and they go after the Jews all the time, which is the oldest monotheistic religion there is. So any Christian, for real, listen up, man. Any Christian that goes after a Jew and spews all the hate and the lies and the old stereotypes that you hear about that aren't true, you're not a real Christian. You're not a Christian at all. You're something else, because if you're a Christian, you should be supporting the Jews. You should be supporting the Jews because your Jesus was Jewish and he followed all the laws of Torah, all 613. He just didn't go by the 7 Noahide laws. He went by all the Torah laws. His clothing was made of one material. He had a beard. Although, he could have shaved, but back then they didn't have anything like that. Nowadays they make specific certain kinds of cutting materials to where, a Jewish person can shave, because technically it says you can't put a razor on the face. It's not a razor. So they can get away with that. He didn't cut his hair. He, he followed all the laws. He gave to the poor. He helped others. He followed the laws that most people nowadays won't. And they say, well, it's because Jesus came, we don't have to follow laws. Wrong. What did he do on the Sermon on the Mount? He stood up there and said, hey, man, I've come to uphold all my Father's laws, not do away with them. Oh, snap. But then you all say, well, he died for our sins, so we can do whatever we want now. And then after we do it, we can say, whoops, my bad. Sorry. Little forgiveness. Give me those anal beads and sprinkle some water on me, and I'm going to go talk to this guy in a booth over here. Priests, let me tell you, first of all, priests are allowed to get married. They're allowed to get married. They can get married. They can have kids. There's nothing in the Christian Bible about a nun. I mean, come on, people. A lot of this has been fabricated. But then you'll go after the Latter-day Saints and other religions like that. And then you attack the Muslims, saying, you've been around, 600? There are thousands of contradictions and inconsistencies in the Christian Bible. There are many of them. I mean, you got 2 different guys talking about how Judas died, both different. You got talking about people that went and saw the trial of Jesus, and when he was talking to Pontius Pilate, and I'm like, you think they're going to let just anybody in there? No. That's not even just a courtroom, man. You're talking some high. That'd be like going to the U.S. Senator and being able to walk in there. So these are the same people that attack other religions. And then I see these people that are always talking about, and I hear this all the time now, and they're attacking the Muslims. And trust me, I'm not sticking up for the Muslims or Islam at this. I'm just pointing out some truths that you got to stop with all this freaking hatred. Because they can look at your religion and say, well, what about this? What about that? Well, what about this? And it's easy. What are you going to do? For instance, Jesus was 3 days in the grave, right? That's what they say, but he died on Sabbath, Friday night. He rose on the first day of the week, which would be Sunday. That's the first day of the week, what they call Sunday now. So basically, he was in there Friday night, Saturday night, day and a half. And there wasn't an angel there when the women went there. There was a young man. It doesn't even say angel messenger. The original text says a young man. A young man was there to greet them. And they took off, and that's the end. But they rewrote a bunch of stuff on the end of it. There's all kinds of contradictions. But these are the same people that'll go after, like I said, Latter-day Saints. They'll attack the Jews like nothing. And, they'll say all kinds of stuff. And the Jews can come back and say, and honestly, in the Torah and the Tanakh, there are minimal contradictions, if any. If any. And it's not that they cleaned it up really good. It's just they didn't stretch the truth or exaggerate on anything. They didn't make it up as they go along. They were very accurate. So, and then you got a lot of these people, they talk a good game. They preach a good game. But they don't love their brother. They don't follow any of the laws of Jesus. They run their mouth all the time. They argue. They gossip. They break all the commandments easily. It's like you see it all the time. And a lot of people will look at them and it's like, I don't want to be a Christian. I don't want to be like that. But then again, I said these are the same people that'll criticize other religions, and it's not right. If you have your own religion, cool, fine. Live it. Live by it. Go by it. Follow the rules. A lot of people don't like religion. A lot of people, and I understand that too, because religion controls a lot of bad people. Religions have caused a lot of wars throughout time. And there's a lot of people that get overly religious. They read things in there that aren't there, and they act on it. So I understand that too. And I feel this way. Do you respect me and my beliefs? Cool. I respect you and your beliefs too. I don't have to agree with you, but you have the right to believe whatever you want. That's how it goes, man. But I'm seeing a lot of people, and this is where I've been headed with all this, people. Sorry for the big delay. And I'm not just attacking Christians, but it might sound like it, but I'm just telling you, laying the groundwork for what's coming. So I'm seeing a lot of people, a lot of Christians, talking about how the United States of America is a Christian nation. It was founded by Christians on Christianity. Well, actually, it wasn't. The Native Americans worshipped all kinds of gods. They were here first. The Vikings, there's proof they were here. They were way here before the white man came. And I guess you could say they were the white man, but, like Columbus and the Spanish and all those people before they got here. The children of Odin were here worshiping Thor and all kinds of their gods. I mean, when the Spanish came here and like when they went through South America and Mexico, they basically told everybody convert or die. You have to be a Catholic or you die, and but at the same time, I'm hearing people get mad about Muslims because, some of their beliefs say things about same thing. You pay jizya or you die. You convert or die, or you pay them a fine. It's been around for a long time. Matter of fact, the Crusades were mainly, in many ways, the Christians were trying to dominate and take over. But in a lot of many other ways, for the most part, they were fighting the Muslims from taking over. And that's been going on for a long time. Heck, the beginning of America, we had people going overseas, going and fighting in the Middle East. Where do you think the term leatherneck comes from for the Marine Corps? Because they were fighting people in Libya, in the Middle East, Muslims that were trying to take over and kill everybody and things like that. We were exploring over there and they were chopping their heads off with their swords. So they said, wear leather around your neck. They sent the Marines over there. And they'd smack them and be like, uh-oh. Because the Marines that's where the term leatherneck comes from. That's real, people. Trust me. You know me, I ain't going to lie. By the way, the Marine Corps are my favorite. They're the best. First in, last out. Semper Fi, baby. But anyway, you're seeing all these people talking about the United States as a Christian nation. It's not. It's not a Christian nation. It is a nation of all religions or no religions. You have the choice. It's been like that forever. We were not founded by Christianity. we were not founded on Christianity. And I'll tell you this, the early settlers were down in Florida, in St. Augustine. They were Spanish, they were Catholics. And about 20 years later or so, the Jews came to America. So was America founded as a Jewish nation? How dare you say that? The Jews did this and that. Yeah, okay. Back off on the Jew hatred, all right? But the Jews came here. They had it rough. They were persecuted everywhere they went. Now they're here in America trying to do good things. Persecuted here too. And they're still here. Now, the United States Constitution has made this country to where it protects religious freedom through the First Amendment. You have the right to worship any god you want. You have the right to follow all the rules and the laws as long as you're not hurting others, following all the rules. You can't go sacrifice your neighbor's goat or rape it. You can't go, I'm going to go sacrifice this heifer over here. No, it's got to be yours. And you got to follow the rules. Plain and simple. But Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting its free exercise. And there is also a ban on any religious test for holding a public office in the United States. That's Article 6. And what that means is not just an establishment. When they say establishment, they're basically meaning us, the people. So we're allowed to put up a church. You want to worship a teddy bear? Weird. But hey, you build the first church of teddy bear? Surprisingly, you might get some people to go there. You want to worship Donkey from Shrek? He is pretty cool, but I ain't going to worship him. But I'd go to the church just for some good laughs. Hey, what's happening, everybody? But I'd go in there and I'd have some good times, man. But it's like, you have the right to do that. People get upset because there's First Church of Satan. There's Satanists in this country. They have the right to do that. They're not hurting you. They're not killing you. They're not drinking your blood or anything like that. They have that right. That's the First Amendment of the United States of America, people. We are not a Christian nation. Our Constitution was not based on religion. And there is no state religion, meaning there's no official religion for the states, and there is no official religion for the United States of America. Okay? You can practice whatever you want, or you don't have to practice anything. It's pretty cut and dry. And then, but you have to respect others. That's the thing. But are they respecting you? That's where I draw the line. When a religion disrespects my people, when they go out and do things to my people that haven't done anything to anybody, I have a problem with that. My friend was hate crime the other day. A Jewish person. And I don't appreciate that. I have had a few people be hate crimed. I know a girl who was out in Berkeley, California. You know Berkeley. Oh, UCal Berkeley, enlightened university. Oh, this is a great city. We're so open-minded and progressive. Until it comes to beating up a Jewish woman, then it's okay. And she got jumped and beat up. Got called a lot of nasty words I'm not going to say, the anti-Semitic stuff. And they didn't say it was a hate crime. It's not a hate crime. Just because they attacked you because you're a Jew, that's no big deal. It's probably her fault for, walking out of the temple. And that's where we're at in the United States of America now. Certain groups can get away with things like that. Certain people can get away with the hatred while others can't. While others, wait, let me rephrase that. Why others don't hate other groups. When's the last time you seen a Jewish guy run into a store and scream something, praise Moses, and blow himself up? Doesn't happen, people. Doesn't happen. And I know a lot of you guys are right now scratching your heads, getting mad because you're all against Israel, the genocide. Israel is not committing a genocide. Matter of fact, the population in Gaza has increased since October 7th, 2023, when Israel was attacked, when little kids were killed, when women were raped, murdered, and raped again. All right? Israel's defending itself. Go through the history of Israel, you'll see that this is nothing new. They're always having to defend themselves, and they keep giving up land for peace. Doesn't seem to work too well, does it? Doesn't happen here in America either. Every single day, I see some anti-Semitic attack. And where are your Christians? They don't stick up for them. And where are the Muslims? I see every day there's a lot of hassle going on in the United States. People are upset with the Muslims and stuff. And I understand that. Because I will say this. I know most people out there, most especially Christians, they have never read any of the Muslim books. They've never read the Quran. The only information they get is what they find online. And instead of like saying research it, maybe look the verse up, seeing what it really says, they just put it out there for everybody to see. And I will say this. There is a lot of bad stuff in there. There is a lot of bad things in there. Trust me, I've read the books. I've read their books. I've read Quran. I've read Hadith, Shura. I've read their stuff. And there is a lot of bad things in there. And I understand where people are getting upset. I can understand it. And the funny thing is, they're attacking others and they won't try to negotiate. You know what I mean? And they'll say some of the silliest things, but this is nothing new, people. This has been going on for years. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's getting too late. Got to stop up. But like I said, I'm seeing people go off on the Muslims and saying this is a Christian nation. And no, it's not. It's not a Christian nation. But I do have a lot of problems with some of the things Islam is doing. Some of the things they get away with. Some of the things that they have a lot of hatred in their hearts for that I don't like. I see this all the time. Like I said, I've read the books. I know their rules. I know their laws. It's their religion, but I don't agree with most of it. I have a problem with, okay, you come to the United States of America and you can become a legal citizen, right? No matter what religion you are, you can come here. You can become a legal citizen. You jump through the hoops. You do everything right. They don't say, oh, you're a Muslim, you can't be, or anything like that, right? Or you're an atheist, or you're an Irish Catholic. No, you come here, you do everything right. You can be a United States citizen. And while you're here, let's say you're visiting and you give birth to your baby is automatically a United States citizen. Cool. And what happens, though, let's say if I go to Libya or Iran. Now, again, the United States does not have a main religion, but there are plenty of countries in this world, about 70 countries, probably a little more, that actually have, and that comes out to about 1 in 5 nations worldwide that actually have, and listen, hear me out, they have an official state religion or they officially favor a specific religious group. Now, the most common ones are Islam and Christianity. Buddha has a little bit of the Asian nations like Thailand, Bhutan. They don't make you worship it or anything, but it is like special state status to it. Okay, cool. That's your country. I understand. Now, let's say I go over there and I'm visiting and my wife gives birth. Okay? That baby does not receive citizenship of that country. As a matter of fact, most of those countries won't let me live there. Well, they'll let me live there, but I can never be a citizen. No matter what I do, no matter how good I do, you're not allowed to be a citizen there because you have to convert to their faith. And if you don't, well, they don't want you there. Plain and simple, people. Do you not see the hypocrisy of the world? We let people come over here, no problem. Freedom. You don't have freedom in most of these other countries, mainly the Muslim countries. You can be born there from another, you could have, your parents can be like working in the embassy, you're born there, you're not a citizen. You're not a citizen, you're nothing. Matter of fact, they could throw you out anytime, lock you up, whatever they want. There's a lot of rules in Islam, and they don't respect us. They don't respect us in their countries like we respect them. Matter of fact, you look up in a lot of those countries that have a predominantly Islam religion, you'll see there's hardly anybody there. Like, they're allowed to work there, like I said. But as far as citizenship goes, no, it's not going to happen. And you won't be able to receive benefits. They come over here and they can get benefits. They can get all kinds of stuff. They don't have to be legal citizens, and they can get freaking welfare and Social Security and things like that. I haven't really quite understood that, because I know a lot of people that are born and raised here, 10 generations, man, and they still struggle. Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, Iran has 93 million people, and they are a Muslim nation. Sharia law rules. Women don't have much rights or freedom at all. It's horrible. And I still call it Persia, because to me that's what it should be called. But it's changed a lot. When the Ayatollah took over, it changed a lot, man. Now, there are about 100,000 Christians, maybe more, because they're being secretive, but they're over there. And what it is they're working there. They don't get to live there, permanently with housing and everything else. They have to pay for everything. They get treated like dirt. Now, you got 100,000 Christians out of 93, let's say 94 million people. Do you know how many Jewish people live there? Nobody really knows. The estimates are anywhere from 11,000 to 25,000. Yet I have heard numbers as low as 12. 12 freaking people. And what they're doing there is they're working in the technology department for a company in a country that wants to kill us, wants to attack the USA and other countries. They're working in the medical field. They're helping out. But they're not liked there. They are not allowed there. And here's another thing. You can build, like I said earlier, any church, any religious thing you want in America. You buy the property, you put it up, First Church Donkey. There you go, people. I mean, it's legit. It's legal. It's all nice, cross-border, nice and legal. You're allowed to do that in the United States. How many Christian churches do you think are over in the Middle East, like in Libya, Egypt, Iran? None. Oh, here's a good joke. How many Jewish synagogues do you think are over there? None. Because they're not going to let that happen. They don't want them there to begin with unless you're getting something out of it. You're not allowed to practice freely over there. So the hypocrisy of our nation is kind of crazy. It's like, hey, come here and be free. But then you go over there and it's like, they're not free. And then if you treat somebody different over here, they go off on you, cry racism and all kinds of stuff. But how come it's okay for them to be racist against other groups? Why is that? I see them attacking people all day long, especially the Jews, man, every single freaking day. And I see the Muslims going off on them, saying all this stuff, and it's just like, why? What did they ever do to you? Oh, yeah, they took back their land that you took from them after you killed all their people. You know what I'm saying? And I understand. I do understand why people are upset with Islam in the United States of America, because they are allowed to inconvenience people. And what bothers me a lot is you'll see them praying in the streets and blocking traffic and stuff. And I'm like, now, wait a minute. And there's more than just one. It's like 1,000 of them. That's planned. They know what time they pray. Come on. Go on the sidewalk and pray. Now, in Israel, they know when the prayer is. In Israel allows all religions. Israel allows all religions. And you can build temples there, mosques there, a Satan synagogue. They might not like it, but they'll let you. It's your religion. There's only about 10 million people over there. A fifth of them are Muslim, and they're allowed to live there freely. And they do. And they all get along for some reason. It's weird how that works. But they know if they're walking down the street and they're on a cell phone, they see a guy, he bows down and starts praying. They don't give him a hassle. They're like, ooh, sorry, and they get around him. They ride their bike around him. They show respect. And the funny thing is, here in the United States, certain group that I'm talking about here doesn't respect anybody. Like I said, they'll pray in the street, they'll block traffic. They do all kinds of stuff that's like, it's annoying. And then they'll tell Christians, like, well, we don't want to hear your church bells. Okay. But you got to hear our chimes 5 times a day, starting at 5 in the morning. Okay, cool. We respect that. So how about you respect us? How about you respect other religions too? And that's the big problem going on in this country right now. That's why a lot of people are having a big problem with Islam, because they don't respect others. They don't. And if you know their books, you'll know that there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things in there. And I mean, I just like Christianity, I don't think a lot of them know their books. I think they're taught from an early age what their prophet said or what they think he said with misinterpretation. And it's not good, people. So I understand. I understand why a lot of people are upset with the Islam takeover, or what they're calling that, in the United States of America. And I get it. And it's I'm telling you, it's not going to end well. Things are going to get really ugly. They already are. You got a lot of people leading hate groups and stuff like that. There's a lot of people out there that make good people like me, who's trying to be peaceful about it, bring unity. Hey, you want to respect my religion? Cool. Respect what I believe? Cool. I'll respect what you believe. But if you can't respect me, why do I got to respect you, right? Why do I got to put all the cards on the table and put my chips down there and give you the cash, and I don't get anything for it? Not even a hug, a high five, or any respect. So if you're going to speak out, do it correctly, do it truthfully, do it honestly, and do it non-violently. Now, if you're pushed back and there's violence, you have the right to defend yourself. I always say that. But people, let's all try to get along if we can. But, like I said, man, I just got a bad feeling about this, that things aren't going to end well, man. But if you're going to post stuff on social media, post on the internet, do anything like that, tell the truth. Tell the truth. And that comes from both sides. Both sides. Because I don't want to hear all the negative stereotypical tropes about certain groups that you always hear about. I don't want to hear it. It comes from both sides. So let's all try to get along, okay? Is that going to happen? Probably not. Probably not. Because there's certain groups that do want to inflict their will on you, and you do as I say, not as I do. And I don't like that. But I'm going to be same thing I've always done. Peace, love, understanding, and unity. If it doesn't work, well, what are you going to do, right? So anyway, man, everybody have a great day, great night, great evening, whatever time you're listening to this. Let's all try to be united, okay? Let's try. But I honestly don't see it working. I hope for the best. I always have. I'm an optimist. I mean, the glass may be half full, but there's always a lot more room in there for more stuff, man. I believe in peace. I believe in unity. I believe everybody should. But it's got to work both ways, okay? Watch yourselves. And let's keep truthful and honest, all right? Peace.